Look at this tongue wiggle back and forth. But
Angel.
That's going to be the beginning of the episode.
Show and sell.
Hello and welcome to Show and Sell, the show that celebrates digging through other people's trash. Hello, Trash Dragons. I am Chris, Trash Dragon of the West. This is my guitar, Mr. Blankenship.
I'm
hello,
Mr. Blankenship.
He says hello back and says that you should like and subscribe to this episode and channel, and that I sell on eBay and Discogs, mostly medium.
And I'm Katie, and I'm Trash Dragon of the South, and I sell clothing and accessories mainly, but I'm always on the hunt for things that are unique and sometimes a little bit spooky, especially as we're headed into spooky season.
Woo! But not sparkly things?
Sparkly and spooky, all the better.
Yeah, sparkly, spooky. Spookly.
Spookily, as it were.
Sporkly. Anyway, I'm Joe, Trash Dragon of the East, and I like to buy a little of something and a lot of everything. If it comes in giant bulk amounts, I'm there for it, including, for example, listen. I just made a purchase yesterday, and this is one of like two boxes and a bunch of other things of framing pieces. So I've got like all the framing angles, all the framing, all the little. I'm trying to pull out. Unfortunately, dadgummit, this is the part I did not plan for.
Francis could not be less disturbed by what you're doing. Just not disturbed. He's absolutely fine. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's so metal frames.
They're metal frames. It's got all the angle braces and everything. And
Joe, that's pure gold.
Unfortunately, that is the downside of it, is it is gold, and gold frames are, I just feel like gold frames are like, unless they're gold wood frames, they're just kind of tacky, so I have to figure out if I can...
You just melt them down and turn them into cougar ends.
I'm into that kit. I'm into that. That's very cool. Where are you selling that? Are you going to sell that at your booth?
I'm probably going to use it to frame a lot of stuff, but also... There's way more stuff than I'm ever going to frame. So if you're interested, let me know, and we can chat after. We'll just talk in the comments down below, as should all of you viewers.
Mm-hmm. How much should Katie pay Joe for the framing kit? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah. You should all chime in about that. Anyway, I'm going to try to gently set this down without upsetting the apple cart.
AKA Francis.
The Derg cart.
Hey. Do not upset me. I am not here for that.
Do you guys have any updates or announcements? Katie, go.
I have an update. I'm hot on Joe's heels. I think I've mentioned before in the show that I'm trying to get a consignment space in a consignment store in Kentucky with me and my mom.
Right.
We got the call. We've been on the wait. Call came in.
You're in.
Here's the problem. It's for the biggest booth in the store.
Oh, no.
So it's the most expensive booth, and my mother, who I've had to talk into this, is very concerned that we can't fill it, which is real cute that she thinks we don't have enough. It's fine. It's fine. But she's just worried about the cost of rent, which is fairly reasonable as far as consignment spaces go. But I'm going to head up and look at the space. But it is right before the holidays. I am aware of that too. So.
That's the good time, isn't it? Like you want it to, you're going to make sales. Like
for this particular place, I would say yes. It's a good time if you're selling the right kind of items. But I got to talk my mom into it. But anyways, it was exciting. We finally got the call.
That's amazing. Good. That's awesome.
The wheels are moving. I'm hot on Joe's heels. I'm going to get a space. It's going to happen.
I have a small update. So I bought a lot of matches, like basically about like over 200 matches at a yard sale. Yeah, like huge bag of not a garbage bag, a grocery bag full of matches. And I didn't notice this until just recently, but a number of episodes ago, one of my items of joy was the Stouffer's Inns. Do you remember those? And now it all comes complete. It's the Stouffer Inns matches.
They're my favorite too. The little boxes are my favorite.
Yeah, I
Oh
just
yeah, little
sold.
box of wooden matches are cool.
But
It's
unless
awesome.
Joe's got something, let's move
Got a
on.
dog.
Yep, still.
Yo,
Let's move
it's
on
them
to
turn.
the item that brought you joy.
The thing that brought you joy.
All right, item of joy is back. I've been trying to switch it up a little bit, so I'm going to go first.
Oh boy.
As a surprise,
Unprecedented.
as you guys know, like Joe had found a bunch of UFO books. I also share his love of UFO nut jobs and oddballeries and just kind of like self-published books. And so this is Area 51 and S4 Handbook by Chuck Clark, 2007 edition.
Nice.
That's
So-
going to sell. That's going to be gone unless
Yeah.
you're keeping it.
No, I'm selling it. And so it's less like kind of UFO stuff and more like here's all the buildings in Area 51 and our best guess as to what's happening in there. And let's see. And all the
what is happening in there? Don't bury the lead. What is it?
I mean, it's just kind of like, we believe that there's this many spaceships here and this many.
Oh my
this
God.
is where the black mailbox.
The black mailbox. Wait, is that actually just a photo of a mailbox outside of Area 51?
I think so. Yeah.
They've done it.
tell
They've
you,
done it.
I'm-
Congratulations.
I'm having a mailbox mystery. My mailbox outside keeps falling apart. Pieces of
Really?
it keep going off, and I think someone's hurting it, which could be nefarious, or could be an angry raccoon.
So, or maybe stop making your mailbox out of cotton candy.
Is it?
I do what I want.
I know.
do you have a mailbox on a post, or is it attached to your wall?
It's on a post.
Okay.
It's been in various levels of disarray, which means I don't know what it means, but I need to put a camera that far out there. I need to figure it out.
Let me explain to you how the country folk did it. We
I
would
grew up in the country. No.
in the
I was
country.
in the country.
Okay, fair enough.
Country. Dad owned a farm. Yeah, country.
Okay, then you understand mailbox.
But I don't
baseball.
remember the mailbox specifically. Why? Is something?
because
it's in a cement.
Mailbox baseball.
Yeah, mailbox baseball. Kids coming
But
by.
why is it only mine? No, everyone else's seems fine.
Well,
Let me also
yeah.
throw a wrinkle in here for you, though. I'm also on a dead end street,
Oh yeah, you can't get a good speed that way.
Yeah.
so definitely nefarious animal.
yeah.
Yeah,
What kind? Don't know.
chupacabra.
Please let it. That'd be great. Please let it be something exotic. That would be wonderful, and not just an angry possum. It's a
All
whole
right.
farm.
So why don't you bring up your item of joy,
Sure.
Katie, mailbox lady?
Yeah, it's not a mailbox. But I don't think I've talked about my love of these weird things. Have I talked about these?
No, but I those are awesome.
These mid-century modern placards. I just love them, and I got this set of 4 for $5, which is about as good as you can get it. Yeah, I was really excited.
The bad guy in Columbo would have that on his walls.
Yeah, they're plastic, but they look so fancy. Oh, that's cool. So they also have the copyright done on the back in Roman numerals to be extra fancy. So there you go. But yeah, I was very excited.
Those have like a bit of a Greek feel to them, like with it looks like a lyre.
The Olympic torch, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of got a Olympic torch, a lyre.
The bouquet, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, the lyre. That's what that is. It's and then the cornucopia. Yeah, they're just my favorite. I love them. I think they're great. I have nothing really that goes with them. I don't care. They go up. I think they're very specific to that 1970s sort of mid-century modern, aren't they? That's like that. The wall placards are.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't like a ton from that period, but these, I'm into anything. These look like they could have been in the Brady Bunch house. I'm into it.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Joe, what do you have?
Oh, I was what I have is a lot more pedestrian, but it's like my item of joy besides all the framing stuff I got. I have these posters that I sell. I bought God knows how many, like probably. I probably bought a stack of about like a 3-inch stack, so probably about like 200 of these posters. They're Frank Frazetta Museum posters. I've talked about this estate auction for Betty and Ian Ballantyne for a long time, but I sell them like pretty regularly, and they all, I just like list the great thing about having something like that. Like I've always said, if you have something that you can repopulate on eBay, you just have to put in once. You don't have to like take a bunch of photos, and it can sell for a very long time. And so I ended up. But the problem is like it's a thick poster, so you need a bigger mailing tube. Because you don't want to like you don't want to super tightly roll it, otherwise it's never going to relax.
Yeah.
I sold my last, I went through all of my bigger mailing tubes the other day, and finally I didn't want to, but it gave me a little bit of angst to have to do it. But when they arrived, it was a great deal of relief when I got more of my favorite mailing tubes from Yazoo Mills. This is an unpaid plug. I hope they're not like a Uline and some sort of like has terribly regressive worker policies. But I got a bunch of like, this is the combo pack where you get like a tube inside of a tube. There's like, and you end up with like 20 of each. So I have 40 more posters I can mail out without having to, until I have to worry again. So nice. It's like basically my item of joy is just like a weight off my, yeah.
Also, like, I mean, you all, like, when we used to walk around the streets of New York, you were always on the, like, hunt for free tubes.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because they're not cheap. Yeah. Tubes
absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did once pull from Brooklyn Street a Taylor Swift Read poster that was meant for bookstores and libraries. And I sold it for like $20, and I'm sure I could probably get $200 to $300 for it now. I regret. Yes. I don't regret selling it. I needed the money, but boy, it's one of those things where you're just like, Taylor Swift. How much longer can she be popular for?
This country artist,
this hillbilly Rube, she's not going to be around for much longer.
Leanne Rhymes wannabe. Yeah, no, I don't.
Nice try.
I feel like the tubes are. I have 3 of those tubes that I use when I move. And I will never give them up. They're going to stay with me until they fall apart because I don't want to buy new ones. But you're really nice to at least mail that. I like it when people try to not use the good tubes and then you get your package and it's like, oh brother, and the cardboard's too thin or whatever. And so it's dented. That's happened to me a few times. Especially if shipping is like suspicious.
If you learn anything from this episode, use the good tubes.
Use a good tube. Here's another poster packaging tip from Uncle Joe. Can I have a little Chiron here? Poster packaging tip from Uncle Joe. Yep. Poster packaging tip for Uncle Joe. What you want to do is you want to roll it about just maybe a half-inch thinner, like a quarter to a half-inch thinner than the tube itself. Put paper around that, tape that, and then you'll like put bubble wrap on the end, like wrap the ends with bubble wrap, and that way it protects it. So if the tube does get dented, it's going to be a lot more likely to be safe.
All right. I think we're about ready to move on. We're going to do Unearthed Treasure. The topic will be VHS tapes. Now.
Gotta fly.
Unearthed Treasure.
VHS tapes, Unearthed Treasure. Katie, do you want to go?
Yeah, because I don't have VHS tapes. I have something better.
Okay, good. I love that.
I have cassette tapes.
Okay.
I was also informed that VHS has done a deal with Puma, the sneakers. Are you guys aware of this?
No.
This has just happened.
Did one of your cats tell you this?
Whoa. That's amazing.
So heads up on that. That's the 1988 low top VHS retro wave sneaker. It's $89.89.
Nick Gallo, if you're watching this episode, buy that.
Okay, ready? Here's the high top.
Oh wow. Okay,
I'm not a shoe guy, but that is awesome.
Yeah, these are pretty cool. I would actually wear these too. These are the T120 retro wave sneakers on sale right now for $98.89 from Puma. Okay. So there you go, everybody. That's not my item, but
or free if you just push someone down while they're carrying it out of the store.
There you go. Or that. If you know where a Puma store is, sound off in the comments below. I don't know.
Every mall in America has at least 2 Puma stores these days. They're right next to the Sunset spot.
Puma sweeping the nation. This is a really cool item that I got a very long time ago, probably like 15 years now.
Oh, wow.
It's on wood. and it's by a company called Bug House, who were based out of LA. This is number 23 of 150. I used to work at a consignment store in LA called Handmade Galleries, and they were one of the artists that consigned their stuff there. And they're really
who's
cool.
Who's some of the those are all homemade tapes, like
There's
mostly.
a lot of them. We've got regular tapes of like Patti Smith, Neil Young, and Crazy Horse, Dwight Yoakam randomly, Sinead O'Connor, and then we have a lot of mixtapes. So it's really, they've done a really, oh, look, we got Marianne Faithfull down here, Sonic Youth. This is great. I think one of these tapes is just labeled Enemy, which I don't know what it means, but I like it. So this is one of my treasured art pieces that I'm really glad that I bought. And when you work at a consignment or when you sell at a consignment store, I had a booth there, but I also worked there. So I got a discount rate on my booth, for my hours that I worked, but it was also my full-time job. And I also got a slight discount on vendors, which was also awesome. And I remember saving specifically for this one because I really wanted one. And I'm glad that I got it because I'm not sure if they're still in business. But their work has been in like a lot of TV shows and movies. If you ever see something that looks like a stack of records, because they did LPs. Mm-hmm. I think they also did VHS tapes. I just got the cassette tape one because it was cool. But anyways, they're really fun. Who wants to go next?
Joe, why don't you go because I went first?
All right. Well, a while ago, I was at the vintage store consignment shop I have my space in, and I saw them, and they were all cool VHS tapes. They were all like, for example, we have Sonny Chiba in Shogun's Ninja, and it was all like
all I know is Street Fighter from him. I had no idea he did other movies.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, Shogun's Ninja, for example, which of course it's a great name because it's whose ninja is it? It's the Shogun's Ninja. It couldn't get any more feudal than that. Yeah. And then on top of that, and then beyond that, I have two others I want to show. But it's also just because they're not super cool, but it's also cool because my wife works at a library, and people donate to the library all the time for their big library sale. And one of the things they donate is VHS tapes, and they don't sell VHS tapes at the library sale, so they end up getting thrown away. So she's gotten some pretty good stuff, including The Last Unicorn, and some some BBC like detective series. But
I'm jealous. Yeah.
I have Time Bandits and Pulp Fiction on VHS, recent acquisitions. Time Bandits was the movie that, I saw this in the theater when I was 9 years old, I think, maybe 9 or 10. And probably 10 or 11, I should say. Yep. It scared the hell out of me. I just remember being like, I don't think I should be watching this.
It's a weird, dark movie for but it seems aimed at 8-year-olds, and it's not.
No,
for 8-year-olds.
Dark Crystal feels very much the same way. I remember the Skeksis coming out in Dark Crystal and being like, no monsters. Yeah. Uh-huh. But Time Bandits did that for you, Joe. Time Bandits was too far.
Time Bandits was too far, but it is a classic. I now love it. I think that's the thing. It's like the things that you get freaked out about when you're a kid often leave a very strong impression, and it either is you either have a very adverse reaction, or you're just like, oh, that was just too scary. I want to see it again.
Return to Oz. Return to Oz, for example, when Mombi removes her heads. Yeah. Sorry, spoiler alert for people who have not seen Return to Oz. Apologies, but
nothing to say. I mean, what can I say about Pulp Fiction that hasn't already been said? It was just it feels like a very good video rental staple to have for me.
Yeah.
So, Chris,
it feels like no collection is complete without it. You have to have it in there.
So now my collection is complete. It's even faded. You see how bright this side is, and faded is on this side. So.
I can go. So this was, as you guys know, I throw gumbo parties from time to time.
I do.
And they're a great success. Everyone loves them.
Except for me, because I've never been invited.
Correct.
But you've had my gumbo, though, Joe.
I haven't. I don't know how successful these
parties. We've met once.
I need to make some calls. I'm writing this down. call about
more on that later, Katie. But one of the great gifts I got from my ex was a 2 set of Paul Prudhomme, who I love. Like he was like the first big star, other than like Julia Child in the '70s. If you like blackened anything, catfish, redfish, chicken, steak, Paul Prudhomme. That's where he came from. He might not have invented it, but he did popularize it. He's just like, this guy is a genius. This was kind of like, it was great watching these back when I had a VHS tape. And this is one of the few, I have these on display in my home because I love them so much, and it says a lot about me. And I still like use his cookbooks for my gumbo parties. And if I think, Cajun food, I still go to him. He went from being like one of the authorities of Louisiana cooking to just this like really experimental chef. So one of the big disappointments when I went to K. Paul's in New Orleans for the first time was that it was just his New Orleans staples. There was no of his later era stuff because he did like 2 or 3 cookbooks later on in his life that are just genius. Every recipe is a banger.
Do you own them all?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think I own every one except for he did a couple to tie in with his seasoning mixes, like something like Seasoning Magic or something like that. He had I think it's still around. They're pretty good. But yeah, he had his own bottles of seasonings for like fish, chicken, filet powder. I was kind of sad that he wasn't able to become kind of like when the big wave of cooking shows hit in the early aughts, like when Food Network really grabbed a hold. He wasn't venerated in the way that he probably should have been, in my opinion. But yeah, let's move on to our next segment, which is, Joe?
Tales from the Flypt!
Tales from the Flypt. Tales from the Flypt.
Right, Tales from the Flypt. We're back. The question is there something that you regret selling? Joe, why don't you go first?
Me?
Yes,
okay.
please.
Joe's time to shine. Okay. I do have this thing, like one of the things I regret the most is I had this I picked up this thing I picked it up at auction, probably like $30-$40, and it was this amazing like wooden, like looked like an old department store display. It was like multi-tiered. It was just sort of like it was a stand, stood about probably like 16 to 18 inches high, and it had like arms that came out, so it was little shelves, and it was like had a very kind of like interesting deco look to it. And I was like, I think I got it for like 40, and I sold it for like 80 to 120, something like that. And I really regret it because like something like that is such a good, like if you have a space, you have a space like that, like this good display units are hard to come by, and people will always people always want to buy people always wanted to buy a display unit. Like they always are like, how much for this bookcase? How much for this shelf? How much for this? It's like, so, but in this case, I did know I wanted to sell it. I was like, yeah, I think I should sell it. And now I really wish I hadn't, because it made the booth pop. It looked really good. And, and it did not get me any inroads with the couple who spent a lot of money on vintage stuff for their own store in Brooklyn. So that was ultimately what I was hoping for, and it did not occur. I wouldn't even know how to begin to look for something like that again if I, it just was. I was lucky I came up with it in the first place. So.
Yeah. So I will go. I think what my biggest regret is, when I was kind of like clearing out my storage unit at one point or another, like there was some water damage on some of the boxes in there. Like like some quilts got ruined. I don't know exactly what happened, but whether it was that storage unit or the previous one, because we had to move anyway.
Right.
But
Which
I
sucks.
had like one box of records where like a good chunk of them had water damage, and it was luckily like the box I cared about the least. Maybe it was like a bunch of old rock records, like Beach Boys, that kind of thing. Like just stuff like I remember just finding all the time. Creedence Clearwater, good, perfectly fine records that I didn't really listen to anymore. And instead of like really like kind of examining them all, I'm like, you know what? I'm too tired to deal with this, and I just brought them to the bulk Goodwill down the street. And I regret, like, when I came out to LA, like I realized those records were black gold. Like they would have sold. Like there was a couple of years ago, like LPs, like were just you barely keep them in stock.
So this isn't money this isn't something you regret selling. This is something you regret being able to sell.
Exactly.
Like you should have been able to sell them.
I should have.
That's the item that, oh no, that's awful.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
What about you, Katie?
I have many that I've sold too low, especially when it comes to clothing, because you don't know. But there's two that come to mind. Hopefully we'll do this question again and I'll talk about the more expensive loss. But this one was still pretty expensive. When I worked at a clothing like buy over the counter resale store, someone came in with a bunch of vintage rock tees, and I was able to get a Nirvana tee. And I don't know if you know it, but I believe it's from the Bleach album, and it's got a spiral on the front, and the back says, hold on, I looked it up. Fudge packing, you're gonna have to bleep all this. Fudge packing, crack smoking, Satan worshiping motherfucker on the back. Yeah, I owned that shirt. And those shirts, I don't know if you've seen, but Nirvana, like actual vintage shirts, are in the 4 digits. They're not even, they're out of the 3 digits. I would say Nirvana is maybe some of the most. And if I remember right, I did not make even near that. I think I may have gotten a couple $100 for it when I sold it. But like, I wish I just held it. Because it's just one of those things that the longer time goes on, it just they've increased exponentially the further we're getting away from the 90s. It's just more and more and more. And it's why you see Nirvana shirts for like $1,700 and $2,500. And they're crazy. And especially that one. That's like kind of a famous one because the back is so jarring. And I remember I got in trouble and there were other workers at the store that were like, "Are you buying that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm buying it." And I think we used to sell vintage rock stores at the place that I worked for like $60. So I think I got it for like $60. So it's just brutal. It's brutal now to look at the prices. And it was in fine condition. But like they'll sell with holes. It doesn't matter. Like certain bands, it just does it. And Nirvana is one of those bands. 9 Inch Nails, the early albums seem to be high as well. Like Pretty Hate Machine, those shirts, like they do. It's just certain bands people want them, but Nirvana the most because Kurt Cobain. But anyways,
and I know friends who had those shirts. Like they were just like
they're shocking. Yeah, no, I'm very grumpy with myself. Like to this day, like when I remember that I had it, I'm like, oh, it's one of those things where you're just washing dishes. And you're like, oh, why did I just hold on to it? Just hold on to it. Like I know you need money, but just hold on to it because like that could be like a car payment now. Do you know what I'm saying? That's like, it could be a lot of money. So
why couldn't I see the future back then?
Yeah, it's frustrating. And like there are reprints, but there's not a lot of reprints out there. There's reprints of Nevermind, but not those earlier shirts are a little bit different.
Back when they were like a little bit more snottier. Well, anyway, what do you guys think?
You're allowed to be mad at me in the comments. I'm mad at me. Everyone's allowed to be mad.
Please yell at Katie, as we always encourage you to do.
Yeah, I mean, engagement is good. But you just know that you can't be madder at me than I am mad at me.
Exactly.
I'm very grumpy.
You shouldn't be mad at her. You should be disappointed.
I'm going to say this as the I'm going to end this on a positive note.
Yes.
You can't hold on to everything. Like you can't speculate
right.
on everything. Do I have a Psy PSY Gangnam style shirt in my closet right now that I'm holding on to for another 10 years before I take it out to sell? I do. Is it going to sell for more than $30? It won't. But I still have it, and I guarantee
It might.
It
might.
2032 comes around, and I'm in my 60s. I'll be like, Oppa Gangnam Style. Oh, remember this, kids?
Hey, sexy lady.
He broke YouTube.
He did break YouTube.
Yeah, he like they didn't have a billion views before him.
Wow.
Really?
I did not know that.
I think he was like the first person to get 1 billion views on YouTube.
Good for him. That's great. I'm so glad it's that. That makes life worth everything. That is the positive note of this episode.
Yeah,
wasn't forget the Kardashians. It was
Psy.
Gangnam Style. Yeah, that's great.
Everything about that song and video is great if you take it, like if you aren't tired of it. Like I still look upon that. Like the video is hilarious.
It's great. I have no problems with it. It's fine. No problems.
Speaking of A+.
Good job, Psy. Speaking of A+, guys, I think we did it.
I think we did too.
Yeah, Katie?
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah!
Yes.
Well, good. Let's finish. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Joe and Katie, good job. Me too.
Good job. A+, 5 stars, 2 thumbs up. Once again, we did it.
Yeah.
Take us out, Chris.
Thank you for watching ShowAndSell. If you remember, hit like, share, subscribe. If you don't, everything's gonna be alright. But if you do, things are gonna be a little bit brighter for us. There's an algorithm controlling all of our lives. Thank you for watching ShowAndSell. If you remember, ring the bell. Thank you, everyone. See you next week. Bye.
Bye. Until then, au demain.
Hey, thanks for coming, everybody.